have to say, any woman that can get on stage and meaningfully say that they forgive the person who their husband that quickly, you are truly a better person than me, because I've just been so angry and so angry. What sort of widow wouldn't want people to investigate the assassination of their husband? She has not explicitly said that, but the influencers are invoking.
His face turned redder than a tomato the moment Candace Owens posted. This time, Candace didn't hold back. She came with a vengeance. No hesitancy, no filters. She produced what she says is damning evidence that Erica had an affair with Michael McCoy, the chief of staff at TPU.
His quote-unquote closest friends, his closest political allies, the White House, they all seemed kind of ready to move on so much faster than I was.
And the receipts are crazy. We're talking about purported phone records that were taken directly from McCoy's own device, combined with snippets of Erica's previous interviews and assertions that, when viewed side by side, seem far too suspicious. As Candace dissected everything, things began to change. The chronology no longer made sense, and the alleged coincidences surrounding Charlie's untimely death began to appear much less improbable. Online users are closely examining each frame, comparing timestamps, messages, and even variations in Erica's voice tone. Right now, the entire internet is acting as detectives. Additionally, social media exploded when Candace implied that some of the phone conversations between Erica and McCoy occurred just before Charlie's last moments. Supporters are referring to it as the betrayal plot, claiming that this was cold, pure strategy rather than just sadness. Some contend that Candace is merely inciting turmoil to get clicks. However, there's no denying that she has revealed something that can no longer be disregarded. Now, there is a straightforward yet significant question that consumes everyone's thoughts. Was Charlie's unexpected death merely a tragic turn of events? Or was something more sinister, something premeditated, lurking in plain sight? From the beginning, Candace Owens didn't believe that official story. She was very clear that she didn't think Charlie's predicament was the result of a random act by a supposedly unstable stranger. Not at all. Candace stated right away that there was some...
The narrative is that this is his grandfather's rifle from World War I and doesn't have a serial code. Okay.
Interesting.
Okay, why?
There was something strange about that story. Too staged, too easy, too polished. Since then, her instincts have been focused on Erica Kirk. Suspicion erupted. Remember that viral moment when Erica's tearful tribute aired on national television? When she was meant to be in grief, but her smile persisted. That was immediately captured on the internet. Her energy appeared far too cheerful for someone who was grieving, as viewers noted as they re-watched it frame by frame. People began referring to it as the most bizarre tribute ever, as if she was making an excessive effort to market her grief. However, it was that particular passage in which Erica brought up Michael McCoy that truly sent Candace reeling. Rather than on live TV, she laughed and referred to him as Mikey instead of Mr. McCoy to maintain formality. Her entire face lit up when she said, "He's amazing," as if she had forgotten the purpose of the segment altogether. The internet halted in disbelief at that one moment, that tiny light in her eyes. Candace said it all right there.
I want to say that what's been bothering me, in particular, are the micro lies. It seems that they're suddenly in the business of telling micro lies, tiny little misrepresentations, tiny little half-truths that right out of the gate seems altogether unnecessary. It really makes me wonder, who are they protecting exactly? You'll see oftentimes they and other influencers will invoke Erica as the reason that it's not appropriate to ask questions. It's just not appropriate while Erica is still mourning for you guys to ask any questions. And I'm just going to come back at you with some common sense. What sort of widow wouldn't want people to investigate the assassination of their husband? She has not explicitly said that, but the influencers are invoking that, right? They're invoking it's not appropriate right now for people to be asking questions. That's what I mean when I say they are David hogging us.
Right there, clipped it and slowed it down. Talking like that about a coworker at a tribute is not appropriate. Fans are now wondering if Erica made a mistake, or if she just unintentionally revealed something she had been keeping hidden in a precise moment. Candace's skepticism transformed into a strong conviction. At this point, she was certain that the betrayal originated within the circle. It seemed like a setup that was hiding in plain sight after beginning as a calm suspicion. The complete CCTV footage from that day at Utah Valley University suddenly appeared online as everyone was taking a breather. And it created 1,000 times more mess. The video shows Charlie giving his big speech while standing tall and confident next to Michael McCoy, his so-called right-hand man, who is only a few steps away. He is typing as if he is rushing against time, with his phone in hand and his rucksack on. Well, that's his job, to be fair. As the chief of staff, he is constantly in charge of scheduling, answering mails, and performing the back-end tasks. Then, however, something goes awry. In an instant, the energy changes, and chaos loosens. The throng begins to panic, duck, and flee for safety. Some were frozen in shock, while others were attempting to assist. Here's what got everyone talking, though, how Michael McCoy responded. McCoy didn't hesitate to check on Charlie at the exact instant that loud disturbance reverberated through the hall. He didn't scan his surroundings. He simply bounded out of frame, disappeared in a matter of seconds. Candace repeatedly played that video and pointed it out to her fans. Pay attention to his body language. It's not panic. She said that was escape. Wild speculations immediately exploded on the internet. Did he share everyone else's fear? Or did he run because he knew what was going to happen? He didn't look around or pause to assist. He simply ran all the way to the back and grabbed his phone. That detail appeared to be simple to ignore at first. However, the internet went completely crazy after that entire clip was leaked online. The same urgent questions began to be asked by everyone. How come he didn't stay to assist? Who was he urgently calling? It was not long before the puzzle pieces began to fit together. In a subsequent interview with the New York Times, Erica stated in passing how she learned about Charlie's event. She claimed that while she was sitting next to her mother's hospital bed in Phoenix, she received an urgent call from Michael McCoy, who, in her own words, was yelling, "He's been hurt." This is where things got complicated, begin to whirl. Erica stated in the report that the call was received around 11:23 a.m. Phoenix local time. The actual incident at Utah Valley University, however, did not take place until 12:23 p.m., according to records. An hour later, Utah time, that 1 hour lapse turned everything upside down and the internet did the math. Michael couldn't have been reacting to the incident if those timestamps are accurate. Before it even happened, he would have been phoning her. Social media was in a frenzy just because of that information. Conspiracy timelines, in-depth TikToks, and endless threads appear all at once. That's not coincidence. That's coordination, Candace said right away. Regardless of your opinion of her, that timetable presented some major questions. Why was McCoy phoning Erica so early? And why didn't he even try to see how Charlie was doing before he fled if he was there when it all happened? The entire story was altered by just one phone call. Additionally, some are beginning to question whether it revealed anything that no one was supposed to see. Michael has no business calling Erica at random to inform her that her husband has been heard. That is, unless the call was made as a signal, a coded message, a "it's done" moment, rather than out of any worry at all. That is the theory that is currently sweeping the internet. Let's face it, if the timestamps are accurate, Michael appears to have known something was going to happen before anybody else did. When Candace started her one-woman quest to find out what had happened to Charlie, people loft her away. She was described as theatrical, deluded, and an attention-seeking conspiracy theorist. Then followed the tape, the same clip that showed the strange phone call chronology and Michael sprinting away. The entire story abruptly turned upside down. People who had previously rolled their eyes at Candace began to rewatch all of her remarks. Podcasts, tweets, old interviews, all of everything. It began to appear piece by piece that she might have been right all along. Even her most critical detractors had to concede that the data no longer appeared to be random. At this point, the situation begins to take an even more sinister turn. Charlie's unexpected loss didn't feel like bad luck, as Candace has often stated. She has alluded to the possibility that there were more powerful forces at play. those in higher positions with connections and authority who stood to gain greatly from upholding certain beliefs interred. One thing is certain, Candace is upending the narrative like never before, and the internet is unable to ignore her, regardless of whether you believe she is correct or simply brave. The idea that Tyler Robinson, the alleged lone suspect, was operating independently didn't seem plausible to Candace at all. He seems more like a piece in a much larger game, she has said from the beginning. Consider it. How is this guy supposed to be familiar with every aspect of the location? The arrangement, the precise moment, and even the ideal escape path. That isn't just chance. It sounds like inside knowledge. Everyone stopped scrolling as Joe Rogan joined in on the discussion. His main argument was that something about this whole setup doesn't line up. The item that was allegedly employed in the assault, it was completely nonsensical. According to officials, Tyler used a historical collectible item from the World War II era that had been handed down from his grandfather. Joe, however, didn't believe it. He noted that the pictures that were made public online didn't support that account. For something that was purportedly manufactured decades ago, the model in those pictures was far too sleek, contemporary, and sophisticated. On his show, he even dissected it frame by frame, stating, "That's not some antique. That's newer tech." Fans quickly swamped the comments section, accusing him of a visible cover-up. Additionally, this small tidbit simply served to further tarnish the case, as Candace had already suggested inside assistance. People are now questioning whether Tyler was actually a frontman who was controlling things from behind the scenes. At that moment, everyone's gaze immediately returned to Erica. She appeared to be the ideal image on paper. The faithful spouse, the bereaved widow, and the religious influencer who established her brand on grace and loyalty. A homemaker with a passion for family and spirituality who was formerly a beauty queen. The world saw that narrative. However, that flawless picture quickly began to fall apart as individuals began to delve deeper. From her victory as Miss Arizona USA under former pageant franchise to her father's political connections, it was evident that Erica was more than simply a meek housewife caught in a tragic situation. She had ambition. Much more ambitious than most people thought. Erica had the contacts, the background, and the unwavering will to succeed. Unlike Charlie, who was more viewed as the spokesperson for a movement than a power broker. Naturally, the whispers started. Was Charlie merely a stepping stone for her? Online users began to pick up on the odd timing, the changes in tone, and the tiny clues. However, politics wasn't even the biggest red sign. It was the way she acted after everything happened. Erica was sharing gentle, beautiful images, Bible passages, and quotes about forgiveness as if nothing had happened. But Candace was out there digging, demanding justice and fighting for actual answers. The commotion around her was a stark contrast to that lovely, serene tone. At that point, Candace stopped making insinuations and went into full-on accusatory mode. We can all agree that Candace doesn't sugarcoat anything. Everything changed the day she began to make those connections. And people's perceptions of Erica changed drastically. Candace went live. No filter, no script, just unadulterated passion. She also completely destroyed Erica Kirk. This commentary wasn't typical of you. In real time, this was fire. She didn't only wonder why Erica was grieving. She immediately headed for the quiet that surrounded it. Candace asked the inquiries that no one else dared to ask aloud. Why did Erica not call for justice? Why was she teaching forgiveness before the guilty party was even identified? And why, rather than sounding like real sadness, her tone in each homage seemed prepared, polished, and almost like a public relations statement? The comments section blew up right away. People were analyzing every phrase, providing timestamps, and labeling news sources. Candace had no intention of giving up. She expressed what many others have been muttering, that Erica's composure wasn't tranquility. It was a show. She continued after that. Candace directed her wrath directly at TPU, the institution Charlie helped establish from the ground up. She claimed that those who had previously united behind Charlie were now going above and beyond to conceal important facts, accusing them of shielding Erica and Michael McCoy. She wasn't simply outwardly angry. You could feel it. You could hear it in her voice and see it in her eyes. This was no longer about clicks or clout. It was intimate. No matter who stood in her way, Candace made it plain that she would not give up until the truth about what had happened to Charlie was out. The internet went crazy as that live stream finished. Comment sections were crowded with folks, disputing constantly. Some viewers felt that Candace had gone too far this time and had broken a boundary by openly criticizing a grieving widow. However, most of them stated it clearly. Finally, someone had to say something. People had grown weary of the quiet, the prettified posts, and the well-crafted answers that sidestepped all difficult inquiries. In a single, memorable sentence that went viral right away, Candace encapsulated everything. Why don't more of Charlie's pals try to learn the specifics of what transpired? That was a rather sharp question. Easy yet effective. Everyone paused their scrolling for a moment and gave it careful thought. One comment stuck out among the others that flooded in. It even pleased Candace herself. One woman's message on social media touched a chord. As someone who's buried both my kids' dads, I know from experience that in those first few days, you're in pure shock. You don't even know what to ask. But after a week, I had a million questions and I needed real answers. People started reiterating it all over the place, claiming that Erica's serene demeanor didn't appear to be one of grieving. It appeared as though someone was attempting to keep up with the story. The attention was no longer solely on Candace's audacity. It focused on the reasons why no one else was posing the same queries. When everything finally made sense to Candace, that was the pivotal moment. For the first time, it became clear why Erica wasn't out there seeking answers. Since she already knew the truth in her heart, this was the only plausible answer. Additionally, when you combine that claimed affair with her meticulously maintained quiet, the situation becomes much more sinister than anyone wanted to acknowledge. Speaking that truth, however, came at a high cost. The criticism hit like a digital ambush the moment Candace made her charges public. Her mentions were inundated with irate responses, opinion pieces, and never-ending arguments. Critics accused her of callously taking advantage of a tragedy for clicks, while some admirers praised her for being brave enough to speak what others wouldn't. At precisely the right moment, Erica responded, not directly, but with a poetry Twitter thread that had everyone on the internet analyzing every word. She didn't specifically mention Candace, but she didn't need to, after writing. There's no linear blueprint for grief. She continued, I carry Charlie in every breath, in every ache, and in every quiet act of day-to-day living as I attempt to relearn what that rhythm will be. Everyone was aware of the person she was referring to. The post went viral right away, with her fans applauding the grace of her remarks, and her detractors labeling it just another well-planned publicity stunt. But that tweet wasn't helping Candace. It was a deflection. She perceived it as Erica's attempt to sidestep the true problem, and after that, it was no longer merely a tale of loss. It had turned into a public confrontation between two strong, uncompromising women. The resulting shade was surgical. The loss of loyalty came suddenly and with great force. Overnight, the same supporters who had earlier applauded Candace for her bravery and her determination to speak the truth at any costs turned against her. Social media became a battleground. Laura Loomer, a far-right influencer, attacked Candace first, sending a vicious tweet that said, Candace Owensis now using her plots against Erica Kirk, Charlie Kirk's wife. Please know that many of us find what Candace is doing to you repulsive. And TPUSA. Imagine suggesting that Charlie's wife was involved in the incident. I'm sick. In just a few minutes, that tweet received hundreds of likes and reposts. Podcasters, commentators, and even erstwhile supporters began to chime in, claiming that Candace had overreached herself this time. It resembled an avalanche of digital content. More insiders and influencers separated from her every hour in an effort to avoid the commotion. Here's the twist, though. Candace remained unflinching. Not by any means. The criticism, if anything, fanned her flames. Rather than retreating, she claimed to have discovered something even larger as she leaned closer. Something that transcended Erica, the drama, and TPUSA itself. She made a suggestion that Charlie's enigmatic demise was more than a domestic tale. In disguise, it was world politics. At that point, everything truly began to spiral out of hand. Because Candace was doing more than simply listing names now, she was making references to influential people that most people would be afraid to bring up. And the internet froze when Candace revealed that shocking information. She asserted that Charlie was under intense pressure from wealthy and influential businessmen who supposedly wanted him to soften his public views on Israel. Candace claims that they were offering him millions of dollars if he would just be quiet, play nice, and stop being so vocal. However, Charlie's obstinacy and unwavering devotion to his convictions refused, and he vanished a few days later. Candace then disclosed what she said were private texts between them, in which Charlie confessed to being afraid, stating that he felt watched and confined. At that point, it began to seem less like bad luck and more like a silent setup. Because this scenario stops sounding like a straightforward tragedy, and instead appears to be far too well planned when you put everything together. The alleged affair, the weird phone call, and a woman smiling through what should have been agony. Charlie Kirk wasn't just another victim of circumstance if Candace's claims are accurate. They hushed him. Even worse, it's possible that those who say they love him the most were involved in the cover-up. Erica has stopped talking. Michael had all but disappeared. And Candace is resolute, unflinching, and adamant on revealing whatever lies beneath that flawless facade. Because when you align those calls, those time frames, and those untimely grins, coincidence becomes conspiracy. Charlie has left. His circle is behaving as if nothing had occurred. And the one thing they all appear to be afraid of is in Candace's hand as she stands there. Evidence. The question that no one wants to answer is now being asked on the internet. Why does this story seem so much like guilt if it is actually about grief? In your opinion, what actually transpired behind the scenes? Please share your opinions in the comments section below. Tell me about your theories. Remember to subscribe, like, and share for more in-depth explorations of the stories that others are afraid to touch. As always, I'll see you at the next.